Appreciate you. Yes, sir. Much love to you, bro. Yes, sir. It's us. We back, man. We in a nicer fashion, if you can't tell, man. This genuine conversations. We with my boy Michael, man. Shout out Michael, man. If you can't tell, man, we in one of those RVs. My guy actually sells RVs currently at the moment, and we actually got the luxury of being able to be on board for one of the episodes of Genuine Conversations. So we appreciate that, man. We appreciate Michael. We appreciate McLean's for allowing this to happen. My boy Michael, give a quick background about yourself, man. It's good to see you. It's good to have you on the show, bro. Let the people know, you know what I'm saying, a little bit about yourself.
I've been in sales for about 3 years now.
Yeah.
Never thought I'd be good at it. Was able to turn a page and be good at it and sell at a high level and be what I would consider an elite salesperson.
Yeah.
Compared to everyone else. So, I've sold cars for about a year. Been selling RVs for almost 2 years now, so just under 3 years.
Yeah.
I was the number one salesperson of volume here at my store in Denton last year. And then selling cars, I won Ring of Honor twice for volume and customer service rating, things like that.
Yeah. So
I've been very successful, very blessed by God himself. So
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's just a little bit.
Yes, sir. Nah, I appreciate that. Appreciate that. So just a quick, I'd say for the audience, how do you get in something like this?
To buy one of these?
Just in general, like how would you get into something like this?
You gotta have a lot of money,
a
lot of good credit,
for
sure. Because this is a $650,000 RV, brand new. Currently, we're selling this one for around $300,000. So you gotta have really good credit, and a lot of buying history, and a long line of credit. So you gotta have the money for sure. A lot of money down. Those type of things, but there's a lot of qualifications when it comes into buying something like this, this big, because recreational loans are a little bit different than your average car loan or things like that. So that's what a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different, but money down and really, really good credit, or a lot of cash to pay the whole thing. So one of the two.
Okay. So in terms of people that you normally see come to buy units like this, what type of people do those normally be that you come into contact with on the daily?
So it depends. I would say probably a good 70% of my customer base is people who are living in full time. Mostly people who are they bought some property, they bought a couple acres, and they're building their home. Or like I had a customer the other day, they train horses for a living. So they needed a trailer for their workers to live in. So it just depends on. It's all scopes of the area. People are using it for traveling, across the United States. Most of the people who are going to be buying these are going to be doing full-time living, because things like washer and dryer, things that you would need to live, right? So for something like this, I would think more full-time living, people that are traveling the country. It varies. You got people that are traveling across the United States, people are going local in the state, national parks, things like that. So it just kind of depends on, what they're really after and what they're capable of buying. So.
Okay. Yeah. And I know you, so I'm already knowing, started off in car sales. What would you say skills or traits that were cross-applicable from the car industry now to something more of a higher, you know what I'm saying, in terms of just overall value, sales? What skills would you say have been able to be cross-applicable for you?
That's a really good question. For one, sales is all about just being a people person, and that's something I've always been really good at. So just being able to talk to people, have conversations, being honest with people is number one. That's something that I've found that is definitely cross-applied across the sales business entirely, is when people feel like you're BSing them, you're oftentimes BSing them, and it feeds off you, right? So you kind of have an aura of just bullshit, if you're talking about bullshit. So just being honest with people, and definitely negotiating is a big part of the business. So being able to maintain your gross and maintain the relationship with the customer to where they're happy, you're happy, and it's a good deal all around, right? And then just making sure people get good customer service, because that's the most important thing. Something I pride myself on is just making sure everyone has a good experience. When everyone has a good experience, you got referral business, you got families that come back to you, you got people that trade out every year. So that's the stuff that's definitely cross-applied. It's just really taking care of people, being honest, and making sure you know your shit, basically.
No, that's great, and I really like how with you it's always been about the people, and I think that's something that a lot of people sway in terms of, especially in sales, is it can get into the cycle of fixation on profits, and when it comes from the heart, the profits will always be there. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
absolutely.
And I really like how you move in that fashion. I know you said that there's a decent amount of referrals that you have just due to actually trying to do good business with people. Tell me a little bit about just being able to keep a bond with a client that allows them to be able to come back and refer other people at something as great of a scale as this.
Yeah. I mean, it has a lot to do with trust.
Yeah.
People trusting you is like the number one thing. Like, let's say, just like with you, when you came to purchase your car from me whenever I sell cars.
Yeah.
Um, it was more of a, hey, I've got this good deal for you. I've got this car. I think it'll work for you.
Right.
And you believe every word I say.
Right.
So if people are that you're working with on a daily basis that you've just met are able to trust you that fast as friends, and you're able to build that relationship, and that's how you get that repeat referral business. That's when people begin to trust you on a different type of level. Where we're calling every couple of months just to check in how you are. Birthday calls, things like that. Checking out how their experience has been with the camper. If they have service needs, getting them service. Making sure everyone has a good experience. Once you make sure that everyone has a good experience and people trust you to know that you're going to make sure they have a good experience, that's how you get that repeat and referral business. It always comes, right?
Yeah. What's something that you would say? I know, especially being young in this industry, what's a few challenges you would say you face just being younger in an industry dominated majority by older generation?
That's a really good question, because that's something that I definitely had to deal with, especially up front, was make sure like you're being respected is the number one thing, because it's in an industry where most of your customer base is older, and all the people that you work with are older. There's a tend to have a lack of respect for that person because they're in the same position you are, you're in the same position they are, and so it's really being respectful of your peers when it comes to your coworkers, and they begin to respect you. And then once you begin to show the knowledge and show that you're retaining what they're saying and what your manager's saying, and just showing effort and being able to prove yourself, that's the most important thing. When you're able to prove yourself in this industry, even at a young age, you will gain more respect than anyone else, because you're at a young age doing this. And some people, their kids are the same age as you, and that's a lot of case for me. But it's about being respectful, handling customers the right way, and if you can do those things at a high level, and do it at a high level. I mean, if you can do it at a high level when you're young, I mean, you're a different beast. You're a different animal. Because I mean, there's old people that I just run laps around, right? And not saying anything's wrong with that. I got a little more pep in my step. It's all about the hustle in you. So when it comes down to just being better than everyone else, and I will always tell my friends who join this industry. I've had a few friends that have joined the industry. Some have been successful, some haven't. And I will sit there and tell them all day, it's about hustle. And if you are out there working as hard as possible and being 110% in it, then you will be better than everyone else. And once you're better than everyone else at a young age, because you have to be, right? Since you're young, you're being analyzed at a whole different level because you're the young guy. So if you screw up something, if you mess up something, it's way worse than if you're 40, 50, you've been in the industry for 20 years and you had a mess up. No, it's way worse because they're already
counting on it.
Yeah, they've already got a magnifying glass on your eyes, basically. So just waiting for you to mess up. So if you're on your P's and on your Q's and you're doing what needs to be done and you're putting in more work than everyone else, even at a young age, you can be the most successful person at any place that you're at. And that's not even sales. That's life. Right? So it's about applying yourself and just being the best person you can be. So
that's a great answer. I love that. I love that. That was a great answer. Another thing too, for me, something that I really struggle with is balancing the work and balancing the home, and balancing when I flip on that switch and when I turn and when I don't. You know what I'm saying? For you, has that been a struggle? And if not, how have you overcame that?
That's a really good question. Now, me, I can't really say like if I'm acting different because like I'm at work or at home. I mean, I definitely you have to carry yourself a certain way, especially in my industry with it
Yeah.
being a little bit older clientele, people with money, things like that. So you have to carry yourself a little bit different. You know, as opposed to being home, you know,
Yeah.
playing Xbox with boys or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that. So it's a little bit different. But I wouldn't say that it's necessarily like I'm a different person at home.
yeah, yeah,
But I don't really know what I would do to mitigate that, even if I was. It's just, I mean, I'm myself.
yeah,
Even with my customers, I try and take a different approach of just being myself. And, you know, God's blessed me. Most people like me.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
thank
No,
God.
yeah. What's not to like? Yeah,
But
yeah,
just being myself, really. And I'm myself at home and I'm at myself at work. And, you know, thank God it's been successful for me.
yeah,
But,
yeah,
I think some people in the industry, as far as sales go, any other industries too, you know, they can act completely different, you know, when they're at work to when they're at
yeah,
home.
yeah,
Which I don't really know. I mean, I think you should be yourself 100% of the
yeah,
time. I
yeah,
don't think there should be a deviation of how you act based on where you're at.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, if you know if it's true to God and God's watching all the time, you know what I'm saying. So homework, you should be the same person. Just be
yeah,
yourself,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Just sell yourself because that's all that sales is really, and that's all that life is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, thinking, cause I was like,
We'll cut this part out.
yeah, yeah, no, we good. I was thinking more on like cause I need to rephrase it. Okay, okay, okay. So no. It was a great answer. It was a great answer. But what I was asking was more or less, how are you able to, or has it been a struggle for you to come home and just, okay, we can put work on the shelf and we'll worry about work when we get back to work?
Yeah. Let's see that. Yeah, that was a better way.
Or is it a matter of, because for me at least, I'm 24/7 thinking about the business.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to mediate, okay, this is family time, this is eating
So you're
time.
saying, like,
We're
turning
hitting
off
the
that switch.
Exactly.
Basically.
Exactly.
I mean, yes and no. It is sometimes hard to kind of like turn off that switch and not really think about work. I try and do it. I mean, I work probably like 40 to probably like for around 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
So you know, I'm trying to when I'm at home not think about work. But there is sometimes or certain cases where if it's a certain deal that I'm worried about, or it's you know following up with this customer, there is some times that you kind of have to take it home, and that's just sales in general.
Yeah.
Most people will tell you that who are in the industry that it's not a 24/7 thing, but
Yeah.
it's a 22/7 thing.
Yeah.
Right? So you're spending a good majority of your time, whether it be at home or you know at work, prospecting and thinking about how you can get better. And it's something that I do a lot is like training. So off the clock, so I'll do a lot of YouTube research. I read all that stuff just to you know kind of sharpen the axe a little bit.
Yeah.
So I guess yeah, it is kind of a struggle to flip that switch on and off because I don't really want to.
Yeah.
That's just me though.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah.
And it's kind of with you too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I
so
agree.
We're worried about our bread and
Right.
taking care of our family. So it's not something that I would necessarily try to do is turn off the switch.
Yeah.
If that's a good way to answer it.
Yeah.
It's just like I'd rather be I'd rather be you know sharpening the axe, getting better every day.
Yeah.
So even if that's on a little off time, spending an hour or two doing some training to get better,
Yeah.
I'll do it. So
Yeah. It's almost that obsession. That for me was something
Absolutely.
that the old head always told me was like there has to be almost an element of an obsession to be able to get to the level you're trying to get at. You know what I'm saying? Especially if it is that upper echelon level. Another thing that I wanted to ask you about is how do you back test the losses? Or let me rephrase it. So a lot of the times, I tend to look at the profits and the beneficial things that we do in our business. You know what I'm saying? I like to focus on the successes, if you will. While we definitely have to focus on the negatives as well, focus on the failures. For you, when there's deals that don't go through or when there's deals that for a certain reason fall out, do you do any form of back testing in terms of like tapping into why did this
Did it go
yeah,
bad?
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
110% of the time.
Okay.
every time I mean, even if it's like if it's not a deal, if a customer came off the lot and I'm like, they didn't buy today. Why didn't they buy today? You know, I did everything right, or at least think I did. I will sit there and get in my own head and think about what I could have done better in order to, saying like, basically reliving the moment and being like stepping out third person, stepping in their shoes, thinking about what I could have done differently in order to close that deal.
Yeah.
So, and when deals fall out, I also think about that too. Like, did I miss a step? Did I skip a step? You know what I'm saying? Like, where was the error that, you know what I'm saying, that led to this falling out or led to the customer walking off lot? So, absolutely 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I think you have to. In order to be successful, if you don't analyze yourself with a magnifying glass, like 120, 130% of the time, like, you will not be successful.
Yep.
You have to look at where you failed in order to bounce back up, right?
Yeah.
So, 110%.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And those are ultimately the points that we're able to use and sharpen our axe even more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And be able to really push the envelope in terms of even instances that we might think we lack that we really don't.
Yeah.
You know, and we create this idea in our own mind that we need to do more of this, and eventually before you know it, we're 10 times better at that.
That's how you become an expert, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
That's how you put yourself in a different league. Is the people who don't analyze themselves and think about what they did wrong, either in life. I mean, that's not even that's life. Like, there's all these life lessons that are in front of you. Everything that you've been through in your entire life, like, you can analyze it to the T.
Yeah.
And figure out what led to this, what led to this, what led to this, who was I hanging around with, all that stuff. It all applies to just like going forward with life. Like, that's how you figure out like how you messed up or where you messed up.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's everything. I mean, I mean, you can take professional athletes and compare them. I mean, they could have made this shot. They could have practiced more on this shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just like life. And if you're not fully aware to like self-analyze yourself, I mean, you're just losing it.
Yeah.
Really. And that's just, I mean, that's as honest as I can be about it.
Yeah.
You gotta self-analyze for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. There was this saying that I had seen. It said football is a sport of 22 men running as fast as they can that need to sit down as bad as possible, while 3 million or 50,000, however big the stadium is, or however big if it's broadcasted, you feel me?
Yeah.
Sit watching, and realistically need to run. You know what I'm saying? Or need to get up or need to do something. But those are the ones that speak. You know what I'm saying? And if you're a player on the field, what do you listen to?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so the whole concept was really just, to me, it hits home. And for you, my question is, as a player, do you listen to the crowd at all? And if so, is there anything that you take from it? Or is it something to where really you're only focused on the other sales guys in here, and that's the I guess jargon you could say that you listen to?
So sometimes I think that if you're hearing the same thing 2 or 3 times, it's just like a rumor, like if you're in high school. If you hear the same thing 2 or 3 times, like, you're messing up on this, you need to work on this, you need to work on this. Obviously, you need to work on that.
Yeah.
Like, there's something going on. Especially if it's people that you think higher of you, people that are in a higher stature.
Right.
If they keep telling you, you're messing up these things, and if you're hearing the crowd tell you one thing, yes, I think it's important to listen at certain points.
Yeah.
I think you can, from then, be your harshest critic and analyze what you think is right.
And that's the moment.
Yeah, and then that's your spin on it, right?
Yeah.
So I think there comes a time and a place to listen to everyone. There's also a time and a place to ignore everyone.
Yeah.
So if you know yourself better, and most people know themselves better than obviously other people that are around them that haven't known them their whole entire life, things like that.
Yeah.
If you know yourself and you hear something that it sounds like BS, and you think like, just like, for example, like if people don't think you can achieve something, or they think that you're not good enough to do something, and you know in your heart that if you applied that effort and you were able to take your skills that were necessary to move forward in that position, or go this place or this place, if you know you can do those things in your heart, then you shell at the crowd. You don't listen. You do your own thing. Because if you know in your heart you're good at it and you can do it, why listen to everyone else? Everyone else is different. So
I like that. What is your ultimate if is against the wall in a deal, what's your chess move that's just like if you're back against the wall and you feel like, okay, I gotta close this deal, I gotta find what is your
What's my move?
yeah.
So it goes back to self-analyzing.
Okay.
So usually, like if it's a negotiation thing and we're just not agreeing on numbers or something like that, then I'll usually go back into the back and kind of like reanalyze what's going on, where we're at, where they want to be at, how we could have gotten so far from each other.
Yeah.
What's not making sense in their head, what's not making sense in mine. Put myself in their shoes and just analyze the whole situation. And then from there, if I cannot close it, which it happens a lot. I'm not gonna lie. My closing ratio is probably like 29%.
Yeah.
So 29% of the customers that come through the door are typically
Yeah.
leaving home with an RV.
Yeah.
They're being sold to sold ratio. My write-up ratio is around 45 to 50%, meaning that you come in and you're doing numbers on an RV, so you're trying to purchase one. So if I cannot close that customer and just all else fails, I've dished out everything I can and I've put as much pressure as I can and I just cannot do it, then what I'll do typically, I will go grab my either sales manager or my finance manager. I'd like to go to my finance manager first because she is so psychologically advanced in this business and she's been doing it for such a long time. She knows exactly what she's doing. She knows how to convert people to different things and things like that. She knows how to make people think like she does.
Yeah.
So if it's all else fails and I got to dish something out there, all Hail Mary, I'm going to get her because she's a great help and she's definitely a test to my success for sure. She's definitely helped me a lot, and that's what sales is like. It's not just about selling yourself and that's a good part of it, but it's also about knowing how to use your managers correctly and use the people who are above you correctly.
Yeah.
Those are all tools in your tool belt. So when you can figure out how to use those tools to your advantage, then that's how you become next level in your business.
Yeah. There was a.
How's the lighting? Do you want to close this? That's good.
There was something that you had said, like concept of leveraging the network, and that's something that I wanted to ask you. In terms of all the connections that you've made, not just in the RV business, but also in the car business as well. How beneficial has it been for you to leverage just the mass surplus amount of connections you've made over the years? Like, how has that benefited the deals? Has there been any deals that you have been able to close just through the connections that you've already pre-established?
That is one of the most important things. It's not what you know, and it's a known saying. If it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
So when it comes to, for example, here, like if I have a customer who's trading in a car or a truck, I can reach out to my people in the car business. I can run a VIN number on that, and then that way I can kind of price the trades right. So it's all about connecting. Like for instance, my friend's starting in the car business. He starts actually tomorrow. I have a couple friends that I've started in the car business and become very successful, all based off the connections I know and the people I know. I've been very blessed to meet the people I've met because they have changed my life entirely. I was not on a good stretch of the road when I graduated high school. I was not in the right headspace. I wasn't doing the right things. I just wasn't. So I'm glad that I met those people and I was able to kind of branch out the tree as far as knowing different people that know way more than I do in different industries. It all comes together and it helps you out. So that is like the most important thing. I would just tell everyone just to meet as many people as you can, especially people who are better than you at whatever industry they're in, because it'll be beneficial in the long run. There's always a call that you can make. You need to figure something out. There's always a call, like if you need a certain job or if you're going after this position and they're in that position, they can tell you what to say, blah, blah, blah. So networking is super, super important, and I've been very blessed to me, especially in the RV industry. That's something that was fantastic because most of the people who are buying luxury items like this and people who are buying any type of toy, basically, like a big RV, and it's costing a stupid amount of money. You got to have really good credit and really good money. Those people are typically really well off. Yeah. So just right there, I've been offered probably like 10 different jobs just from my customers. Yeah. Right. So not saying I plan on leaving anytime or anything, but it's just like it's important because like if I ever needed to, you know what I'm saying? Like if I ever needed to pivot in life, or I've just met so many people and they know they know me for how they met me, which is it can be here, it could be at a grocery store, anything like that. It's super important to have a network of people. The more people that you know, the more successful you'll be.
Yeah.
Hands down, 100%.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Just to kind of put in perspective, especially I know that a lot of the audience is younger, you know what I'm saying? So just to put into perspective, getting to a place like this, take me back a little bit in terms of just graduating high school, the position you were in, and a little bit towards the position now. Just give me a little background.
So, graduated 2020, COVID year.
Yep.
Horrible.
Yep.
I mean, so before I graduated, and I'm kind of off track. Before I graduated, I was definitely not on the right path, I would say. I was hanging around with the wrong crew. I was not doing what I needed to do, not operating in legal activities, just not doing the right thing for sure. And it's something I didn't realize until I had to learn a lesson the bad way, right? So something that I had to learn, and I learned pretty quickly.
Yeah.
That was a bad experience that I'll never want to experience again. So it's something I learned really quickly on me not wanting to be a part of that life anymore. And so I stopped. I stopped doing bad stuff. Coming out of high school, it was COVID, so no one really, I don't remember if they were firing. I didn't really have a job at that point. So I was actually working at a car wash for probably like 4 or 5 months, like during COVID, because I needed a job to like help my mom with bills and shit. So I needed to get some type of job, some type of money on the table. And I think I was making like $400 in 2 weeks. I was like $10 an hour or something. Something. But it was something at the time, right? And I was like 18 at the time, maybe 17. I was 18. But yeah, so I was doing that and working my ass off, like slave hours, trying to make a check. And I was doing the best I could, making like $400 every, I think, 2 weeks or every week or something. I can't remember. But anyways, so I was doing that for a minute, and then I was just applying to jobs on like Indeed and stuff like that. So I was just, like, okay, we might get a job, we might not. So I'm just applying to random place, and one place was a car dealership. And my dad, he used to sell cars like a long time ago when he got out of the military. So it was something I thought of, and I was like, well, let's just apply and see. Yeah. Well, I got a call back from, I'm not going to name drop, but he was my GSM at the time. Okay. And he was the best person, like the most psychologically advanced person I've ever met in this industry. Like, this dude could convince you to buy a rock if you were homeless. Like, he was just on another level. I met him at the time, and it's so funny. I love telling the story because I think it's hilarious, but it might not be. But like, getting the job for the car dealership, like I basically like put together whatever outfit I had to like kind of dress nice. I remember like going back on like pictures, like I'm like in like the shirt was way too big, pants are way too big. I had some like old grandpa shoes on that I got from my my papa or whatever, and I went to the interview. And before the day before the interview, in the morning, I watched the same video on how to get a job at a car dealership. So it was like a 10-minute video, but basically they were telling you the questions that they're going to ask you, like, why do you think you're best fit for this company? What's got you interested in sales, things like that. And so I literally watched that video probably 5 or 6 times in the car. I'm talking like right before the interview, everything. I probably was sitting down at the interview before I had gone back to the office and talked to the GSM at the time and watching that same video, just trying to get the questions down. Well, I had them down. And so I went to the interview and killed it. Literally, I shit you not, it's the craziest story because it's like literally like word for word. Verbatim. Yeah. It was like from the video. So out of, I think, 20 people, I got hired. Yeah. And, I was one of 3 people that got hired. And that's where it kind of started. And at first, I didn't grasp anything at all. I mean, it was all gibberish. Like, I was assigned to shadow, I can name drop my boy Steven. He's the best salesperson, probably. He's, I think, the number 2 or 3 in the entire nation at Kia, where I was selling cars. And I was assigned to shadow him, and I remember watching him and like talk to customers. And I mean, I did not understand. It sounded like we were speaking Spanish. Yeah. Like I just didn't understand the verbiage, what they were saying, interest rates, payments. Like I had no idea, and I did not think that I was gonna be good at this at all. So like first 2 weeks, I'm like, I cannot do this. Like there's no way I'm never gonna be good at this. I had so much self-doubt, and I'd never done anything like that. So I was just like completely. No, can't do it. Well, I stuck with it for one reason, because we had a draw was the pay plan. So you basically get a salary every week.
Okay.
And it wasn't much. It was like, I think it was like $2,400 a month or something.
Yeah,
But I mean, that's typically most car play plans. But the salary alone, I was making more than the car wash. So I'm kind of lit at the same time because I'm getting 400 every 2 weeks. Now I'm getting 400 every week, like after
Yeah.
taxes and everything. So I was like, this is it. Like
Yeah.
this is lit. So, I stuck with it, and I really began to pay attention to everyone who was successful. And at the time, there was one of the best teams that had ever came out of that dealership, and I was very blessed to be a part of it because I got to learn so much verbiage and how people were talking to people. I just was able to soak in all the knowledge,
Yeah.
and that's what I did. And I did that. So my first month, I think I sold 3 cars or something. Kind of after training for 2 weeks, they threw us to the wolves. Basically, we're like, here you go, sink or swim. So I sold like 3 cars at like the end of the month. I think I had half a month to sell or something, and sold 3 cars. And then my next month, I sold like 17 cars. So right then and there, I was like, oh, shit, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like, I can actually make this happen.
Yeah.
And that was the most money I'd ever made at the time. So I was like, this is like the industry for me. So what I began to do as my career went on there is I began to seriously practice. I mean, like, sharpen my freaking axe.
Yeah.
Like, I'm watching videos constantly about negotiations. That's something that I would needed to get better at because that's how you made more money was negotiations. So
Yeah.
I literally trained. If I wasn't in front of a customer, I was behind a laptop, watching videos, taking notes, becoming better at my craft. Really, because I discovered something that I really enjoy doing. Because it's not like any other job, and that's something I always tell people who are coming out of college now, and if they are a people person, go be in sales. Because you can make the most money you've ever made. Are you going to work a lot of hours? Hell yeah. Especially in the car business, you're going to work a ton of hours. That's the one thing why I would switch over to the RV business. But it's so worth it for one, because you learn how to talk to people. 2, the money you can make. And 3, you're able to apply most of these skills in your daily life. So I began to seriously just train, and I became really, really good.
Yeah.
So I was really blessed to be in the position I was, like I said, and I became an elite salesperson really early on. And I had my 19th birthday there, so I'm 18, 19, being one of the best salespeople there, and that to me felt so great. Like just being the best, or one of the best. I definitely wasn't the best there, but I was one of the best, and I consider myself that, and other people consider me like that. My sales manager, and they just treat you with more respect. It goes back to what we were saying earlier.
Right.
So once you're in that position and you can make it happen, you're the man.
Yeah.
Especially at a young age. So I was very blessed to be able to do that at a high level, and take everything that I was learning from the training videos and Grant Cardone. I mean, everyone. There's so many resources out there where you can gain knowledge on sales.
Yeah.
And so did that for a while, and I think it has to be like right under a year that I worked there. I think like right under a year, and I was tired of the drama in the car industry because there is a lot of it. That's something that people don't really know about until they're in it. There's so much just back and forth drama regarding the sales team, the sales managers. I mean, every day was like a new thing, and I was beginning to get so tired of it. And I mean, it just drains you, and especially with the hours on top of that, it just drains you. So yes, I was making really good money. I think I'll go out and say I think 82,000 or something like that, in like right under a year. And I was 19, so that was fantastic. Right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it was great, and it was hard to leave, but I knew I needed to make a transition. How I got this job, it's a really funny story. My mom, her client is, we'll just put C. We'll just say C, right? So her client, my mom, she's an esthetician, so she does like face laser stuff. Like she basically works for like plastic surgery. So she does lasering, all that stuff like that women go and do, pay a bunch of money for, all that. So she does that, and one of her clients was the owner of the company I'm working for now, Mr. McLean. It was his wife that was her client, and so she had been telling me about the business, and I was in the car business at the time making good money, and I'm like, no, like I'm not. I'm making good money. I'm comfortable. I'm 19, making this amount of money. Like, this is crazy. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm good on it. And I think the third or fourth time, let's just say C or K, had told my mom how great the salespeople were doing as far as financially, and just throwing some numbers out there. So I was just like, at that point, I was like, my jaw dropped. Like when I heard these numbers, I was like, there's no way. I was like, I had never even heard of this business. Like, no one knows about RV, like RVs. No one knows.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no freaking way. So I go up here and I meet my sales manager, Murphy Jackson. He's the man. I met him and I got a really good vibe from him and the other two managers I had interviewed with. Because I also had something prior on my background that wasn't well, so I had to do a few interviews to get in the door. But I just presented myself how I normally would, and I was able to land this job. And ever since, man, I've just at first it was the same thing with cars, right? So everything was gibberish. It's a completely different business, different clientele. I mean, I'm selling Kias now. I'm selling $200,000-$300,000 units or $100,000 units. So everything has completely changed. So it was a completely different atmosphere, especially because the toxicity had went away. There was no bickering. There's no drama. Everyone's here to help you, and that's something that I was like super pleased with because everyone was trying to help me become a better salesperson. Like even when I started, they were trying to teach me things and things like that. So I was like, well, the car business, they'd be like, screw you, you're going to take one of my customers or something. But here it was more of like a family, and so that was something I was really, really attracted to. And so at first I was like, not going to get this. And I was about to go back to cars. Like, I think I even talked to you about it when I first started in this business. Gavin's been along with me in the journey. But I was like, bro, I cannot do this. Like, I called you one day. I was like, I just can't do this. Like, I don't know what they're saying. I'm not good at this. Like, I just can't do it. I hadn't sold anything at that point. And it seemed like such a hard task and such a difficult task to sell one of these things. So I was like, there's no way. And then I sold my first unit. And oh my gosh, these are the best customers to start off with because it was I'll just say the Collins. The Collins had came in and God, they're the sweetest couple, older couple, and they had traded in. They come in and they're like, hey, we want to look at a fifth wheel, and that's a big. It's like one of these. It's a big unit, and the unit they wanted to look at was also over $100,000.
Okay.
So immediately I'm like, hey guys, I really want to help you guys, but I don't know that much about them.
Yeah.
I don't want to give you guys a bad experience, so I'm going to get you guys with a more advanced salesperson.
Okay.
So I literally go off, and I turn my back, and Miss Collins, I forget her, she was like, no. She's like, no, we want to work with you.
Oh, okay.
She was like, we'll probably know more than you. We can teach you something. She's like, it's no problem if you don't know anything. She's like, that's fine. She's like, we know most of our stuff, so we just want to look at the unit, and if we like it, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
And so we go out, and they freaking loved it. And I was just selling myself. I didn't know anything about RVs at the time. I'm just talking about myself, and we're talking about them, their dogs, everything like that. And it was a really great experience, start to finish. And they loved me. They did. And thank God. And so they popped my cherry. So I sold them that unit, and it was like $120,000 unit. And from then on, I was like, this is the industry for me. I was like, I can do this. I was like, it's the same thing as cars. And I told you the same thing, and you had told me the same thing. It was just like, bro, it was the same reaction whenever you started in the car business as far as me not being able to do this, all gibberish. And look where you got in there.
Yeah.
So just wait, give it some time.
Yeah.
Test the waters, see how it is, and then knowing yourself, you'll succeed eventually.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. So I was very blessed to have that as my first experience because it was a good one, and they made it a great experience for everyone. Like it was a great deal, and it was they're awesome. They're awesome people. They're really cool. I still talk to them all the time. But that was what started it, and from then on, I was able to take the techniques that other people were using, watch the people who were a lot better than me and really successful at my store as far as salespeople and managers, and I was able to take what they were saying and apply it to myself and do it in my own way. Yeah. And I quickly became the number one in volume. So I sold like close to 90 RVs last year, and was number 4 in my entire company. That's at 5 stores. So I was able to be a leader, and there's certain stuff I need to work on. That's 90 is not the end goal. Right? Yeah. So I know I'm not the best, but I like to think of myself as an elite salesperson. Yeah. And so I've been very blessed to know the people I know in order to get me to the and it's just like the conversation we had, like when I was like, bro, I don't know if I can do this. Yeah. And you were telling me, and I was just like, if I hadn't had that conversation, like who knows? Like I could have left like the next day because it wasn't clicking in my head. But I let it click, and now I have a whole different confidence about myself because I know if I go step in another field or do something else, I know that I'll be successful at it because I won't let myself fail. Yeah. I'm not a failure, and I never will be. So, with adversity, it builds your character. And when you're in, it's something that I've realized too, when I'm put in uncomfortable situations, and this is a lot of people, they just don't know it because they don't put themselves in those uncomfortable
Right.
positions. But when you're in those uncomfortable situations, dude, pressure builds diamonds. Like that's everything. Like when you're in those uncomfortable situations, that's where you begin to mold yourself, mold your character.
Yeah.
That's how you become a better person, a better salesperson, whatever industry you're doing. That's how you get to that next level.
Yeah.
Is by putting yourself in those situations that you're not comfortable with, that you don't know what you're talking about. That's the key.
Yeah, because we then begin to realize that all these thoughts of failure and doubt, and they're all in our own mind.
Absolutely.
They're not even real.
Absolutely.
Then overcoming that is
and
it's
then
a
once
playground.
you realize you can do that, and you're like, damn, what else can I do?
It's a playground.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yep.
So yeah, it's been a blessing, and I'm very thankful for the company I work for. McLean's RVs, come check us out. We've got 5 different locations. We've got 4 in Texas, 1 in Fort Worth, 1 in Sanger, 1 in Rockwall, and 1 in Denton, Corinth. This is the store I work at, so come check it out. I'll just show you some RVs if you just want to come have fun. And then we also have 1 store in Oklahoma City. So I'm very blessed to be at this company. It's a fantastic company, family-oriented, family-owned and operated, which is something that's so few and far between nowadays. And, you know, God bless the people that I worked with when I first started in car sales, too, because was it the worst dealership? Perhaps. But it taught me so much, and I'm so glad that I started there because I was able to see what was bad and see what was good and, you know, take my own spin on it. So I'm very blessed to be in the position I am. I thank God every day for putting me in this position, and I don't think I'm 100% there successful yet, but I'd like to think that I'm better than most, so I just got to keep it pushing. Just like with everyone else, I would just urge everyone who's listening to this to put yourself in those uncomfortable positions. And because that's what builds your character. That's what's going to make you a better person, whatever you're trying to do. So if you can do that and have the balls to put yourself in those positions, then that's like where pressure builds diamonds, man. It doesn't burst pipes. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
It builds diamonds, man. So if you can do it, if you think you can, you can. That's what it calls. That's just life. But yeah.
Hell yeah, brother. Man, Michael, we appreciate you, bro. We love the story, man. We appreciate all this, man. It's a blessing, bro. And the dopest part about all this is the ability that from a year from now when we come back, you know what I'm saying, and we conversate again.
And to see where we're at now, you know?
I can only...
this might be mine.
Yeah.
This might be mine.
Yeah.
So
thank you for always continuing just to be there, bro, and do what you do.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank
always.
You for coming
yes, sir. Much love, brother.
Yes, sir.